We're coming to you live for the Build Ford Tough Studio. Boomer Esiason, Greg Giannotti, it's Boomer and Gio on the Fan. Simulcast across the country on CBS Sports Network and wherever you are in the free Odyssey app. Good Wednesday morning. Another bizarre Knicks loss. Very little effort. Can't explain it. Don't know who's the culprit or the one to blame the most. It's odd. It's weird, and I want to be like you and just say this is something that I don't have to worry about into the postseason, but there's just nights like last night that I can't figure out what this team is all about and who they are, and then they'll follow it up with a dominant performance, and I feel good for about 10 minutes, and then they have another stinker. So that's a weird one we will get into. A lot of football yesterday from the Combine as the GMs and the coaches were talking, and, of course, Aaron Glenn has to put his foot in his mouth the first time he speaks during this 2026 season. There's another thing that it's going to follow him around for the rest of time. Some spring training ABS system controversy as well. So all the sports cranking, man. And, of course, hockey's still cranking with the Team USA's victories for both the men and the women. Good morning, Boomer. How are you?
Yeah, good morning, Jim. Doing great. And unfortunately for our Knicks, it was not a great night. And it really comes down to a make or miss league, as we always say. And that third quarter was just absolutely brutal. I had to turn it off.
Yeah,
I mean, honestly, after the third quarter, and it looked like they were listless. It looked like they had lost their confidence right in the middle of the third quarter of a game, an NBA game, where they couldn't hit a shot. I think they hit 3 shots. I think they scored 11 points in the third quarter. It was unwatchable from that standpoint, just because it was so frustrating. And the players are so much better than they performed last night than they performed when we saw them against Detroit. This is such a up and down team, and there's such a weird vibe around the team. And really, the only change, other than a handful of players, is the coach. It's the coach. He's the number one biggest difference on this team. And when they fired Tom Thibodeau, we all said, okay, why are you doing this? What's the reason for it? And they said, well, basically, we got to get a new coach in here. We feel like we got a championship team. And when Jim Dolan came in here with Craig and CMAC, and he said, we're not raising, the tournament banner that we won in the middle of the season because we're going to raise a championship banner. And I'm like, all right, so he expects a championship from this coach. And somebody decided that, and I don't believe that it's Jim Dolan. Somebody had to say something to Jim Dolan about Tom Thibodeau.
Oh yeah, we all know it was all the players who just trashed him in the end of season meeting, and it was mostly Mikal Bridges, OG Anunoby, and Karl-Anthony Towns allegedly from the reporting. Now I don't think they said you got to fire him, but they talked about how they were being overused and tired and injured and all of these things that Tom Thibodeau's been criticized for in the past. And I'm with you with Mike Brown and all the pressure that's on him. But here's a question that I have is, Mike Brown's been in basketball for a long time. He's had success. He's had failure. We all know how important Karl-Anthony Towns playing well is to their chances of winning a championship. Whose fault is it that he takes 5 shots last night? And if
it's the same thing that happened in Detroit.
5 shots? And he's coming off 2 of his best games of the year. One of those shots, by the way, was in the second half. So he was I guess took 4 of them in the first half, 1 in the second half, and I actually was watching the game on the NBC broadcast at the halftime because they had Carmelo, your favorite guy, and Vince Carter, and I don't know, maybe it was Paul Pierce, I forget, but it was Carmelo and Vince Carter were going back and forth on this whole Karl-Anthony Towns thing, and Carmelo is trying to defend him, and Vince Carter's basically like, and this is in the first half.
Well, I feel like Carmelo has to do that, and I expected that from Carmelo. I mean, I'm not going to criticize him for supporting a Knick player who is the most important Knick player, but Vince Carter is obviously somebody on the panel has to speak to the obvious.
Right. And but I think the bigger thing is you got Shaq and Vince Carter, who were 2 Hall of Famers, who were basically laying it out there, and they're not doing like a Skip Bayless routine. I mean, this is what they're seeing. This is what they're reporting. They're not. They don't do fake opinion stuff. Basically saying that like this guy isn't good enough for them to win a championship, and what we're watching, it's just You got it. He has to be great or they're done.
Well, what did Jerry play yesterday from Shaq about Karl-Anthony Towns?
Exactly what
when he was interviewing Karl-Anthony Towns.
Yeah, I know. It's exactly what I'm referencing.
And it's crazy. It's just I can't sit here and just I know the player is making $60 million. He's very talented, and they thought that he was going to be the championship piece, that was going to put them over, the hump, and that he was going to get them there. And that's not even close to happening now. And I thought that he and Tibbs had a relationship from Minnesota. I guess they didn't, or maybe they did. And now we're seeing the fact that Tibbs is not here, and that relationship is no longer there. And Mike Brown is now the new coach. I don't know if they had any interaction with each other prior to this season, and it has just not gone well. But again, I said it yesterday. I'm going to say it again today. I'm not going to get all caught up in these games right now during the regular season, because I actually do believe that the OG Anunobys and the Mikal Bridges of the world are really good playoff players. I think that they raised their level of game in the playoffs, assuming that they have a coach that's going to hold them accountable.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm not worried about those guys in the playoffs, I guess. And it comes back to the same question, and this is why, we say it's going to come down to the postseason, is when Shaq said to Karl-Anthony Towns in that interview, you have to be great for this team to win a championship. Is that a factual statement or not? Can the Knicks, with Karl-Anthony Towns being not bad, but pedestrian, win a championship with the other guys around him? Now, I don't think that the best players in the NBA that we've seen, like guys like Shaq and Vince Carter, believe that. I think that they think he has to be great in order to win, and then that he can't be doing things like he did last night or have some of these off nights. He's got to be consistently great to win a championship, and that's really what it comes down to. And you think, are we going to get efforts like this every other night in the postseason from Towns? And I'm not even, as much as I've been on Karl-Anthony Towns, I am legitimately asking the question because I don't know the answer. Whose fault is it? Because I don't think it's all on him that he's taken 5 shots in a basketball game. Find me a guy who's had that many all-star, making that much money, who is the second option on a team, who's playing a team that, by the way, is caught up with them in the standings this late in the season, who's taken 5 shots.
Well,
that doesn't happen.
The other point, though, is that you want to have distribution throughout your starting 5. And, when you see like Brunson had 19 shots, Bridges had 17 shots, Hart had 11 shots.
But
and OG had 9 shots. I understand that. And Karl-Anthony Towns only has 5 of those shots. So either Jalen Brunson shot too much last night or Mikal Bridges shot too much last night because they were having off nights. And when you take a look at their three-point shooting, I mean, Cleveland from three-point land wasn't much better. I think they had 3 more made three-point shots, but it was just the third quarter was just abysmal. I mean, it was down the court, shoot it, miss. Down the court, shoot it, miss. Down the court, shoot it, miss. And it was everybody on the roster. And again, like I said, the biggest change out of all of this is the head coach. It's the head coach, and I'm comparing him to Joe Brady up in Buffalo. Like, you moved away from a coach that built your team, rebuilt the reputation of your team, got them to the playoff, played defense. Yeah, he was controlling. Yeah, he played those guys a lot. Okay, that's what they get paid for. They get paid to play a lot of basketball. I mean, do you want to pay a guy $60 million and let him only play 20 minutes of a game?
No, of course not.
Of course not. You want him playing 35 minutes of a game, and if he plays 35 minutes of the game, guess what's going to happen? He's going to get more shots. If you remember, at the beginning of this year, and we talked about Mike Brown, and we talked about players playing less minutes, we also then talked about players getting less opportunities to score more points because they weren't going to be on the court as long. And that's exactly what has happened in some of these instances, I think. And now I know he pulled the white flag out and threw it out with about 3 minutes to go in the game last night. But I mean, it was just one of those brutal Knick road losses. It's almost like you could have predicted it.
Yeah, I mean, I can't predict it anymore. That's the thing. I mean, that's what's concerning to me is I don't know when they're going to show up or they're not going to show up.
Let me ask you this.
It's bizarre.
Friday night, they're in Milwaukee. I'm assuming is Giannis playing? I don't even know if
No,
he's
I
playing.
mean they're a disaster. That team. If they don't win that game, then that's real.
But is Giannis playing?
I don't even know. I don't know. I
Well,
mean,
my
does it even
point
matter?
is
They're
that
one of the worst teams in the league.
But the thing is that if Giannis is playing, again, I don't know if he's injured or not. I've been following it, but if he's playing, and he goes out there and scores 45 points, and has like 15 rebounds, and leads his team to victory over this championship Knicks roster. I mean, who's sending a message to Madison Square Garden?
Yeah.
And it's, the game's in Milwaukee, so.
Right. So, latest here is Giannis is clearing more recovery hurdles, eyes return to action. I mean, of course, this. That the first game back will be against the Knicks, right?
So he has not played, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so he did not play in the last game against Miami. He had a 3-on-3 and 4-on-4 drills with no setbacks. So, yeah, I mean, he's either going to come back against the Knicks or he's going to come back in the game after that, it seems like. So I'm not sure yet. Don't have an answer for if he's going to play or not. But that's a game that you got to win whether he's out there or not. But that would be one hell of a storyline. That's for sure. If the Knicks go out and lay another egg and Giannis puts together this MVP performance when he hasn't played for weeks.
I think the thing that really also was bothering us and maybe a lot of Knicks fans is that loss to Detroit without Stewart and Durant playing. That was eye-opening. And that was another one of those games where Karl-Anthony Towns just basically was lost. And think about that. That's 2 games within the conference against 2 really good teams. And one of those teams was without 2 of their most important players. And you still got blown out. And that's why I'm truly trying not to rip into this team because I know that they are a playoff veteran-laden team. And I have a feeling that, when the playoffs come, they're going to want to shut everybody up. That's kind of like the way I'm thinking about it. But I also worry about this coach.
Yeah, I mean, I worry about the coach and I worry about Towns. So those are the 2 things I worry about. Because when you said, I know Jalen Brunson will take it to another level. I know Bridges will take it to another level. You mentioned Anunoby. We know Mitch is going to be great when he's healthy. But, I mean, can Karl-Anthony Towns take it to another level in the postseason consistently? I mean, I know it was a 1 game against Detroit last year in the postseason where he carried the team, but there just wasn't enough of that. And I've been talking about it since the end of last year, that when you went all in for this guy, if you don't believe he's a championship player, it's really hard to project them winning with him. And then when you get games like last night and then some of these other games that we've seen throughout the year, and then he's beaten up on bad teams, it's like, okay, fine. But then some of these better matchups that he has are against better teams, you get nights like last night where it doesn't even look like the team wants to get him the ball.
You want to know something? I'm telling you right now, Giannis is going to be here next year. He's going to be here next year. He's going to be here since he didn't get traded, and they're going to wait until the offseason to move him because they get better assets that way, and the Knicks would have more assets to trade. He's getting traded. He's getting traded to New York. Karl-Anthony Towns is going to get shipped out of here. You could feel it. I mean, I could feel it.
So let me ask you, what is the result in the postseason for the Knicks where that doesn't happen?
They have to make it to the conference championship at minimum, and if they get blown out by either Cleveland or Detroit or Boston, listen. They fired Tom Thibodeau after these last 2 years.
Yeah, so
he had guys that were hurt.
My answer to that question is that if they make it to the NBA Finals, then I could see them trying to run it back with Towns. Anything less than that, I'm with you. They're making major changes. Even if they lose in the conference finals in Game 7 in overtime,
yes,
they're still going to make the changes.
And I think the fact that Giannis wasn't traded tells you a lot. I think that he probably went NBA psycho and said, I'm not going there. I'm not going here. I'm not going there. I want to go to one place, and I want to go to New York, and that's where I want to be. And I just it feels like it's going that way, and the only way it's not going to happen is if the Knicks either do what you say or they win the NBA championship. I just don't see this team remaining this way. And by the way, the coach might be thrown out the door too.
Yeah, I mean, especially if they lose before they get to the conference finals. And let's not forget, like they went and they fired Tom Thibodeau, and then the process that they went through to find a head coach. Mike Brown was, option number 8 or 9? I mean, it was one of the weirder head coaching searches, and this front office I've been with for most of every decision that they've made. They've done a phenomenal job at building the team, but basically their plan for firing Tom Thibodeau was we're going to fire him, and then we're going to talk to the best coaches in the league and see if we can get permission to talk to them. When all of them said no, the teams are like, no, you can't talk to them.
But that's the amazing thing. Also, I would say it's a real misstep because this team has been pretty calculated putting the team together, and I agree with you. The front office has done a great job building the team. These are not draft picks. They gave up draft picks. These are all mercenaries that have come in here via trade, and they've gotten contract extensions. And Jalen Brunson's talking about $500 million or something, whatever. I know he's great, but I mean, oof.
I think it was $418 million.
Is that what it is? I mean,
well, I mean, he said I took a pay cut and didn't go all in to help build this team, and we hope that they do the right thing the next contract. And honestly, if they win a championship with him taking fewer dollars and building this roster, I don't even care what they pay him. Give him
Hey, I'm there with you. If they win the championship,
right?
Yes,
but if they don't, then it's just going to hurt them in the future.
That's right, and this will be a very telling offseason because they built the team to win now. The window's open now. This team is, as we would say, is skating on thin ice right now, simply because of the way that they played against Detroit and Cleveland now in 2 out of the last 4 games. I mean, they have basically gotten hammered by 2 of their teams, and Cleveland's caught up to them now in the standings, and Detroit has destroyed them 3 different times.
Yeah, I mean, and I'll even though it wasn't a pretty game, I mean, James Harden, the way has been playing since he got to Cleveland, looks like he's fit in pretty well. But that's not going to happen in the playoffs. He will disappear in the playoffs, and you're not going to have to worry about that team. I am fully confident in that. But, yeah, I'm worried about the Pistons. Yeah, I'm worried about the Celtics, without a doubt. Obviously, I am.
You think any update on Jason Tatum?
I mean, it's a possibility, but no one really knows.
Well, it will be a year. A year in July, right? No, June. It will be a year in June. Is that right? Didn't he get hurt? When did he get hurt?
It wasn't quite June. It was May. Yeah.
It was May. Yeah. All right. So, and he had surgery immediately after.
He did. Yeah. So
8-month timetable normally, depending on how severe. I guess the whole thing ruptured, so there's pretty severe. But depending on how his training is going and his rehab is going and everything else, there is a chance that he could get back.
Yeah, I think there's a very good chance. I mean, I think that
would be a weird thing.
Your
basketball team is playing great. The number 2 seed right now in the NFC and the Eastern Conference, and you get a superstar that comes back who hasn't played all year long. That's kind of a strange scenario.
Yeah, I mean, I think you'll see him maybe even at least what Chris Mannix of SI has been covering the NBA forever said that he feels like there's going to be a chance you even see him in March at some point.
Well, that would be, I mean, for them, that would be good simply just to get him into the rotation.
Yep. But yeah, those 2 teams are the ones you got to watch. And if they don't make it to the finals, then I mean, Mike Brown was brought here to give him the next step.
I mean, if you're going to fire Tom Thibodeau, you got to have your successor. Like you would think, okay, we're going to fire this guy because we know we can get this guy, and this is the guy that we want.
Yeah, I mean, we were very critical of the way they were going through the search.
And that just didn't happen. Now, here we are. All right, so it's February 25th. I'm just gonna predict that Giannis is going to be here, and there's going to be major changes because this team does not look like it legitimately has the championship will to go and win. It just doesn't look it right now, and maybe I'm overstating it. I don't know, but I just feel like you can feel the winds of change coming because this is going to be – it feels like it's going to be disappointing. I hope I'm wrong. I really do.
Yeah, my prediction is they lose in the conference finals, the Knicks, and Giannis ends up with the Lakers. That's my prediction.
Okay.
We'll come back, and it's February 25th, as you said. We'll see how close we are to these things. You got Giannis to the Knicks?
Yes.
I got Giannis to the Lakers and the Knicks not going to the finals.